Dan Illman, Ashley Mailloux kicking off a pick four at Santa Anita on Sunday with graded stakes action. The Tokyo City Cup's a marathon. We're going a mile and a half. It's a grade 3. It's 100 grander. Let's take a peek at this field. Only 5 decided to line up for the Tokyo City. All in all, though, an evenly matched race. Order and Law is getting back out to that marathon distance. They tried him in the Pacific Classic. He was overmatched. But what we saw in the Cougar the second 2 starts back is this distance, this class, it's more to his liking.
Yeah, that's probably when you look at the field who, I was doing the math, Dan, combined have 2 wins in 2023 as a whole. When you look at the winning performances, Order and Law's Cougar win would certainly be good enough to win this race, right? He got a really great trip just off the pace and made a run. And once he hit the top, in the stretch, it was pretty much over from there, and everyone else was trying to catch up to him. But I agree, overmatched in the Pacific Classic. There's a couple other horses, though, such as Donner Lake, who's coming off a win that was on the turf going a mile and a 16th. And even the horse on the inside missed the cut, coming out of a mile and 3/8 race. Now going to get back onto the dirt, though, and stretch out. It's a little bit of everything in here.
He might be a pace player, missed the cut, according to our friends at Timeform US. We throw up the pace projector, and not only is he expected to make the lead, he has the LP flag over his number 1 Chiclet, which indicates that he has the fastest Timeform US late pace rating. That seems like a pretty potent combination for a horse that I believe is still unexposed. The San Diego 2 starts back, tough spot, considering from a pace standpoint, the pace was really solid. He was chasing it, and he eventually got tired. I think in this race, he's going to have a much easier time making the lead, and he showed some quality overseas.
And it's just a smaller field that he has to hook here, right? He had 10 other rivals last time out. You mentioned the races overseas. He's won at a mile and a quarter, both on a synthetic surface and on the turf. Mile and a quarter to a mile and a half. Yes, it's different, but I still think he can go the distance. I thought his first race here in stateside back on June 11th was a good performance. He was second best. He did go off favored in there. And his last 2, you can maybe make an excuse, as we said, for that most recent effort. And I think he could step up in here. But I'd be curious to see what he goes off at in terms of odds, just knowing this is a compact field and some unreliable horses.
And when you play this card with your DRF Bets account, you have access to free formulator past performances. Of course, you could look up John Sadler's record, turf to dirt, fantastic numbers. Kiss Today Goodbye is the number 2. This horse looked to be going into the Cougar the second in very good form. He was the favorite that day. He was very tough to settle, and then he just didn't run at all. Is that the kind of race where you just draw a line through it and focus on his good performances in the Gold Cup and the Californian against some of the better older handicap horses in Southern California? Or is it such a red flag that you got to just back off?
I would have liked to seen him since then. I think that'd be less of a red flag. I'm going to go with the yellow flag, Dan. I'm not sure what to make out of it, just knowing that his other races, he raced pretty solid thirds behind Defunded, who, won both of those, won the California and won the Gold Cup after that. But to see a horse just really not fire at all like that and regress tremendously is a little bit of a flag combined with that layoff.
Donner Lake is the number 3, and he's going to have to step it up from a class standpoint. He's a Calbred coming off a first-level allowance win on the turf. Looking at his female family, because he's really stretching out in distance, I wish there was a little bit more stamina. But again, in your formulator pedigree stats, Hard Spun wins about 22% with marathoners, so maybe that horse will help him get over the top. His race 2 starts back was his first start off a pretty long layoff, and he was on a hard chase after being wide on the backstretch. The fact that he stayed on for second, to me, indicates he has some stamina.
And I thought it was a really good dirt race. And then you mentioned a little bit of a layoff going into that. Then he had a long layoff, and he comes back to win at a mile and a 16th on the turf. Again, he was pretty far back early on and made a late move. And I don't think the fractions were that insane in that race. So maybe there is a little bit of talent there. And Johnny Velasquez riding for Michael McCarthy is never a bad thing. They do really well together, and he's never been aboard this one before.
Now, while Kiss Today Goodbye comes off a lousy race, Order and Law comes off a lousy race, but with an excuse. In the Pacific Classic, he was just in against some monsters that day. You see his odds. He was 93 to 1 coming off a graded stakes victory, and he basically ran to his odds. Here's his prior start. The Cougar the second going a mile and a half. He relaxed a lot better. He's on the outside. He makes the lead, and he goes on to a very comfortable and professional score. We see Asriel Coast, who set the pace that day, down towards the inside, a game enough second. If Order and Law runs this race, he's right there again.
And I wonder if they figured him out. This is a horse that they claimed about a year and a half ago for $62,500 out of that race at Gulfstream Park. And he just never was really firing. He had okay performances or some bad performances, but I just think looking at the way he's come back from that break and started 2023, he's been pretty solid time and time again. Looking at some of the races that he faced at Keeneland, that's a tough claiming event to say the least. And as we showed, he did look very good winning. He got a 90 buyer, which is, tied for his best numbers this year and last year. And I agree. I'm more willing to draw a line through the Pacific Classic than I am the other horse that we talked about last race.
Asriel Coast is a true grinder. He made the lead in the Cougar the second, and he tried to walk him all the way around the track. And when they came to him at the quarter pole, he looked a little bit shell-shocked. And then he regained his stride, and he was resurgent for second late. I wonder if this guy's a little bit better when he has a target, and he's able to relax off of another horse. And breaking from the outside post, with the horse on the rail expected to show speed, maybe he'll sit second.
Maybe he'll be forced to sit second, and he won't really have an option from there. I'm going to draw a line through his last race. I think they tried the turf and thought based on the Cougar, maybe the cutback would work. Maybe he'd be okay on the surface. I don't think he liked the turf at all, in my opinion, just knowing we've looked at some of his other turf races, and his other one was pretty bad as well. So I like him getting back on the dirt. I think he's tactical, and as you mentioned, he's a little bit of a grinder in the sense that he'll try to stick around for a share, and he certainly could against this compact field.
Top pick time for the Tokyo City Cup. I'm just looking for a stranger in here. I've had enough of the established names. They're good horses. I respect them. Donner Lake, though, has a little bit of upside. He's really going to have to improve, though. I would need double-digit odds, and I'm not sure I'm going to get it as he stretches out and steps up.
When we talked about this race kicking off a pick 4, it's a compact field. I'd be a little scared to single anyone in here, just as we talked about. It's an unreliable bunch. We're going a mile and a half. Horses are getting back on the dirt. I went with an order-in-law just because, hey, he's got to win this year, going a mile and a half. And for him, specifically looking at it, it was out west. It was at Del Mar. I thought it was a good performance. And if he can replicate that, maybe he can win. I don't know if I have full confidence in him, though, Dan.
Understandable that you're going with a known commodity. However, order in law, you're going 4, 5, 1, 3. I'll probably concentrate on the 1 and the 3, with Donner Lake being a better price. It's the Tokyo City Cup. We're going the rare mile and a half on dirt in North America. Good luck.